Hello and very warm welcome at Amish Cycle 5858. I am Amish Cycle. Foreign news have been reported by American, European, Asian, African, Australian news channels and the news agencies. So please let's go to the headlines.
ABC's World News Tonight, America's most watched newscast, now streaming same day with all the breaking news today on Disney Plus. Most watched, most trusted. Now on Disney Plus every night.
Tonight, the breaking news as we come on the air, the U.S. and Israeli attack on Iran. And late today, President Trump confirming Iran's supreme leader is dead. The U.S. and Israel launching a wide-scale assault in broad daylight. Airstrikes targeting Tehran, including the supreme leader's compound and multiple other sites. From Iran tonight, reports of a girls' school being hit. Tonight, President Trump claiming, quote, a lot of the leadership is largely gone. Now, other site. President otherwise people retaliating against the U.S., Israel, and multiple nations. Of the operation following a massive U.S. military buildup across the region, the U.S. forces involved, and what is the mission's end goal. And when Rachel asked the president about who leads Iran next, he said, I don't want to explain. We have a very beautiful plan. Ian Panel live in the region tonight, Arthur Raditz live in Washington, and Rachel Scott live right here on her conversation with the president. Also, President Trump vowing the massive campaign will devastate Iran's military and nuclear program. Tonight, back in the U.S., lawmakers from both parties questioning the U.S. military attack without congressional approval. Mary Roos live at the White House. Across the U.S. tonight, police on heightened alert. The concerns about possible retaliatory attacks. Police deployed to churches, synagogues, and train stations. Eric Katursky and Pierre Thomas both standing by tonight. And Iran's warning tonight to oil tankers sailing through the Strait of Hormuz. Roughly 20% of the world's oil passing through. What this could mean for oil and gas prices in the U.S. So tonight here, how long will this operation last? What the president told ABC News about that. A special edition of World News Tonight begins now. From ABC News World Headquarters in New York, this is World News Tonight with Dave.
Headline news this hour. Iranian state media says its supreme leader has been killed in U.S.-Israeli airstrikes alongside several senior leaders. Ayatollah Ali Khamenei's daughter, son-in-law, and grandchild also confirmed to have died. The 40-day mourning period has been declared. U.S. President Donald Trump is calling on Iranians to take control of the government. Iran launches a new wave of strikes against Israel and U.S. assets across the Gulf Arab states after vowing the most intense offensive operations. Airlines serving the Middle East region cancelled or diverted, leaving tens of thousands of travelers stranded in different parts of the world. Dubai International Airport, the world's busiest aviation hub, remains shut. And a serious flare-up in violence between two South Asian neighbors. Afghanistan says it shot at Pakistani aircraft in Kabul, while Islamabad continues to rule out dialogue. Cross-border attacks entering a third day as both sides report heavy casualties. And that's the latest from the CNN newsroom.
You're about to watch Japan Hour.
Brought to you by Sumitomo Corporation. MUFG, committed to empowering a brighter future. Zip Air.
Iran confirms the country's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, has been killed in Israeli and US airstrikes. Condemnation at an emergency meeting of the UN Security Council. Australia's government says it did not take part in the strikes but backs its allies.
Australia stands with the brave people of Iran in the struggle against what is an oppressive regime.
And Middle East airports struck, bringing travel services to a halt. Hello and welcome to ABC News. I'm Melissa McKay. War in the Middle East has Iran, Israel and countries across the Gulf, culminating in the death of Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. Donald Trump initially made the announcement
time of the same with a love and celestial spirit like the steadfast mountain of guardianship, the compassionate father of kindness and resolve, the leader and imam of the Muslims, His Eminence Ayatollah Sayyid Ali on the path of upholding the exaltation of the sacred sanctuary of the Islamic Republic of Iran, drank the sweet, pure draught of martyrdom, and joined the supreme kingdom.
Satellite imagery shows damage at the Supreme Leader's compound in Tehran. Elsewhere, authorities say more than 200 people have been killed in the attacks, including dozens at a girls' school in the country's south. Its neighbors targeting a US base in Bahrain. Projectiles at 4 countries that host US military bases and has hit residential areas in Gulf countries. These include Al Udeid Air Base, Qatar, Dafra Air Base in the United Arab Emirates, the US 5th Fleet headquarters in Bahrain, and Ali Al Salem Air Base in Kuwait. Dubai International Airport has sustained damage, with 4 people reportedly injured. The UAE has suspended all flights until further notice, and airlines have halted their Middle East operations.
Sky News, the headlines mention Russians have been killed in strikes on the country. Celebrations on the streets of Tehran as the news broke. Air raid sirens ring out in Tel Aviv after Iran threatened to launch its most intensive offensive so far. Iran is also hitting targets across the Middle East, including a luxury hotel in Dubai. Supreme Ayatollah Khamenei has been killed. It comes after Donald Trump announced the death of Khamenei on Truth Social. This post last night reads, Khamenei, one of the most evil people in history, is dead. This is not only justice for the people of Iran, but for all great Americans and those people from many countries throughout the world that have been killed or mutilated by Khamenei and his gang of bloodthirsty thugs. Trump continued, this is the single greatest chance for the Iranian people to take back their country. He ended the post saying the heavy and pinpoint bombing, however, will continue uninterrupted throughout the week or as long as necessary to achieve our objective of peace throughout the Middle East and indeed the world. 40 days of public mourning will be observed in Iran. Khamenei was killed at his office. Iranian media has also reported the top advisor to the Supreme Leader Ali Shamkhani and Revolutionary Guards commander Mohammad Pakpor have also been killed in the Israeli-US strikes. At least 4 buildings in the Supreme Leader's compound in central Tehran were struck yesterday as part of widespread US-Israeli strikes in Iran. Cheers and celebrations were heard in parts of Tehran last night following reports of the Supreme Leader's death. And here was the moment the news broke on Iranian state TV. A statement from the Iranian cabinet read out by a news anchor confirming the death of Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei.
مردم شریف.
To the noble and proud people of Iran, with ultimate grief and sorrow, this is to inform you that following the barbaric attack by the criminal governments of America and the evil Zionist regime, the true example of faith, jihad and resistance, Supreme Leader of the Revolutionary Guard Ayatollah Khamenei achieved the blessing of martyrdom.
Our international affairs editor Dominic Waghorn looks back now at the life of the hardline cleric.
This is the last we saw of Iran's Supreme Leader leading the faithful in prayers. He remained defiant and bellicose to the end, just a few weeks ago threatening to sink American warships. But he was already, it seems, a marked man, targeted as part of President Trump's plans for regime change in Iran and the massive air campaign the president's unleashed. He was a wily and determined
fire and destruction across the Middle East this Saturday night after the U.S. unleashed a massive joint strike on Iran, delivering on Donald Trump's threats against the regime.
They've rejected every opportunity to renounce their nuclear ambitions, and we can't take it anymore.
With reports tonight that Iran's supreme leader has been killed.
In Germany, when it was announced that Hitler was killed, it's that moment for the Iranian people.
How the Iranian regime is responding, plus the global repercussions for air travel and oil prices. And what it all means for the future of the Iranian people.
Global National Republic.
The U.S. Air Force launching a major attack against Iran in conjunction with Israel, striking hundreds of targets across the Islamic Republic. Some of the first U.S. strikes appeared to target the offices of a leader.
Africa News. The news.
The United States on Friday eased sanctions on several senior Malian officials following the penalties that were previously imposed over their alleged ties to Russian private military group Wagner. The individuals are Defense Minister Sergio Camara, as well as military officials Alou Boy Diarra and Adama Bagayoko, according to a notice by the U.S. Treasury Department. They were previously targeted over accusations that they had facilitated the deployment and expansion of Wagner's activities in Mali. The Russian private military contractors have been approached by countries in Central African Republic to provide security assistance. After founder Yevgeny Prigozhin died in a plane crash in 2023, following a short-lived mutiny against Moscow, the Russian Defense Ministry has sought to replace Wagner in Africa and coordinate security operations through an umbrella group known as the Africa Corps. The outbreak intensified late last year and has rapidly spread across the country's livestock industry. It has affected nearly 300,000 cattle and resulted in over 120,000 animals being culled as farmers try to contain the spread. The outbreak threatens mass shortages of meat, job losses, and millions of dollars in lost revenue as countries including China and Zambia ban South African meat exports. South Africa's agriculture minister on Friday launched the country's rollout of the vaccination program, with 1 million vaccines delivered from Turkey in recent days. More vaccines are expected to arrive over the weekend. but there are concerns that the supply is way less than the required doses to vaccinate almost 12 million cattle. The coastal province of KwaZulu-Natal has been identified as the hotspot for the outbreak, with over 17,000 farms affected.
He could be the next leader of the Democratic Alliance. Jordan Hill-Lewis, current mayor of Cape Town, announced on Friday that he would officially run for the leadership of the Democratic Alliance, the second largest party in South Africa's ruling coalition. His announcement comes after current party leader John Steenhuisen said earlier this month that he would not seek a third term as leader. Party elections are set to take place in April. The 39-year-old Hill-Lewis became mayor of Cape Town in 2021. His management of the city has so far been viewed fairly positively, but cleaning up the image of the Democratic Alliance could be a very different challenge. The party moved from the opposition to joining the government in 2024. It has struggled to shake off criticism that it was too distant from voters and mostly catering to the white minority. The Liberal and pro-business Democratic Alliance is also actively seeking to win over voters who may have grown disillusioned with South Africa's biggest political party, the African National Congress.
All right, let's dig deeper on this by bringing in Arkansas Republican Congressman Rick Crawford, chairman of the House Intelligence Committee, and a Gang of Eight member who was informed of the U.S. strikes by Secretary of State Marco Rubio earlier this week. Congressman, good to be with us on this very important afternoon. So the news that the Ayatollah is dead, that takes away the very top of the theocratic leadership there in Iran. We don't know what is left beneath him. It was believed that Pezeshkian might have been at the meeting, though he doesn't really hold power in Iran. We don't know if members of the IRGC top leadership were there as well, but where do you think this all stands at this point, and where is it headed?
Well, I think Trey gave some great insights into the succession plan. I mean, certainly an organization like this regime had taken into consideration a potential succession plan in the event of something like this taking place. And so I think it's reasonable to think that there is someone that is going to be positioned to fill that void. That said, I think that what you'll continue to see is in the aftermath, evaluating the situation, what needs to be done next. What are the next steps? I don't know. Haven't been briefed on that particular part of what the next steps are. This is one of three really prime concerns that were addressed. Obviously, the nuclear proliferation was one, and another was the continuing production of and deployment of ballistic missiles, short, intermediate, and long-range ballistic missiles. And so this is maybe a three-legged stool, if you will. One of those legs is gone. And so they're going to have a hard time continuing to stand without that third leg. Now, that does mean that there probably is going to be a successor. We don't know who that is yet. I suspect that our top officials probably have some insight. They haven't briefed me on it, but I would fully expect that there is a succession plan in place.
Mr. Chairman, thank you very much for joining our coverage as we do confirm the Supreme Leader has been killed. We also know, obviously, to be looking for any sort of retaliatory action here in the homeland. The FBI issued an alert via Kash Patel saying that FBI personnel are fully engaged in the situation overseas. Last night, they instructed the counterterrorism and intelligence team to be on high alert and mobilize all assisting security assets needed. We also heard a statement from the New York State governor alerting to heightened awareness. What can you tell us as far as the overall threat as it pertains to the homeland?
Well, this has always been a concern of mine, is that we are adequately postured from a counterintelligence perspective and from a homeland security perspective. And this is certainly not the time to play games with Department of Homeland Security funding. If this doesn't,
Hello and a warm welcome from me and the team. You're watching Daybreak here on France 24 with a special edition dedicated to the situation in Iran. Here's the latest. Mourners gather in the hometown of Iran's late supreme leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei after his death was confirmed by state media. Elsewhere, many Iranians have been celebrating, including the capital Tehran and cities across the world. Iranian state television reports that the Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian and other officials will lead a transition. Meanwhile, the U.S.-Israeli operation continues in Iran, as does Iran's counterattacks, with new strikes targeting Israel and elsewhere, notably Erbil in Iraqi Kurdistan, the home to a U.S. military base. And the United Nations Security Council held an emergency meeting on Saturday, with the Secretary General condemning both sides and calling for an immediate de-escalation. The attacks have plunged the Middle East into uncertainty. What might come next for Iran and for the region? We'll get all the latest from our correspondents Reza Saya in Tehran, David Smith in Washington, and Noga Tarnopolsky in Jerusalem, as well as analysis from our foreign affairs editor Philip Turl here in the studio, and reaction from the Iranian diaspora with our LA correspondent Wasim Farnay. We begin. This is DW News, and these are our top stories. Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, is dead. Iranian state TV confirmed Khamenei was killed in coordinated U.S.-Israeli attacks on Iran on Saturday. U.S. President Trump said Khamenei's death was the greatest chance for the Iranian people to take back their country. Israel and the U.S. launched a series of coordinated attacks on Iran, which the U.S. called Operation Epic Fury. Iranian media report more than 200 deaths from the aerial assault, citing figures from the country's Red Crescent. One strike reportedly hit a girls' school in the south of the country, which authorities say killed more than 100 people. Iran has launched a wave of drones and missiles targeting Israel and U.S. bases in the region in response to the coordinated attacks from the U.S. and Israel. Blasts have been heard in multiple countries, where tens of thousands of U.S. troops are stationed. Airports in the Gulf were also hit. This is DW News from Berlin. For more, take a look at our website. That's dw.com.
Arbitrator, savior, juror, solicitor, cause being